If you are an avid follower of this channel, then you all know my feelings about Grendel. To be honest, I don't hate Grendel, I just find his abilities underwhelming. This is just my opinion. But I honestly think that Feast is the only good ability of Grendel. In fact, I see this frame's abilities completely revolving, and relying on his Feast ability. I don't see any problem with that, as other frames have the same structure, but Grendel is kind of underwhelming with his current kit. I feel like I'm better playing other frames than Grendel every time I decided to use him in a mission. This was how I felt about Grendel in the past, but when the Steel Path update arrived, my perception for this frame has made a 180-degree turn. Grendel is very strong in hard mode because of the fact that his kit is built towards confronting a crowd of hard-hitting enemies. The fact is, his title as the Devourer frame did not fit in well with the normal start chart because there are just a few enemies to consume. The worst part is, the energy drain is horrible, and the only way to stop it is to either spit out enemies or with either Hunter Adrenaline or Rage on your mod setup. In Steel Path, however, Grendel's Feast ability shines brightly that you'll get the dilemma of eat, spit, kill, rinse, and repeat. Not only that, you will appreciate his Feast ability's killing power, but you will also notice how tanky Grendel can be with each enemy you consume. And the best part is, you won't be so worried about energy drain since a horde of enemies will just let you restore it with just a couple of hits. If you have the resources, then I suggest that you try out this build with Grendel against hard mode enemies. Full Umbral mods will give you ludicrous amount of health and as well as armor. Pair this with adaptation, and the number of armor we get from Feast per enemy, you can assure that Grendel can take tons of hits from high-level enemies. The optimal number of enemies that Grendel can take before he will get insane energy drain with this build is 20. That's about 1000 armor, and if we add it with our 1023 armor, plus the armor we have from Arcane Guardian, that will sum up to about 2923 armor, which translates to about 90% damage reduction. This build can hold 40 enemies, which will yield 92% damage reduction, but the energy drain will be so great that Grendel will have no choice but to spit out enemies. However, don't worry about it since you can easily regain energy and then consume those targets again with the help of Hunter Adrenaline. Now, I did add a bit excessive amount of range on this build, and it's only a personal preference. I love to consume target in a distance, but if you would love your Feast ability to get some decent amount of armor stripping, then I suggest that you go with the stretch mod instead. And lastly, primed flow for energy, and primed continuity to somehow lower the energy drain of Feast, and make other abilities last longer. Now take note, this build is not only meant for your Feast ability, although it's mainly focused on your first ability. It doesn't mean that you can't use his other abilities. The build has a decent duration and power strength to somehow help you regenerate your energy faster with the Nourish energy buff, and also cast his other abilities. For now, I'm having fun with this Devour setup for Grendel in Steel Path game mode, but this doesn't change the fact that I'm still hoping one day this frame gets a decent overhaul on his kit. Now, before you go, I would like to give some bonus tips about Grendel. If you are curious about what can Grendel consume with his Feast ability, then I advise you to not expect too much. Grendel is very picky about what he eats and doesn't go into the Sedna arena, or even on the index, to devour all the enemies. His Feast ability doesn't work in this specific type of mission. Also, it doesn't work on star chart bosses, and as well as demolished units on disruption missions. Honestly, this is another reason why I'm kind of disappointed with Grendel. His one good ability, which is Feast, should be able to do exceptional things, and be more useful than consuming normal targets. I'm not saying that makes it work against all enemies. What I'm saying is that, somehow, make it work to missions where it can serve a purpose. Like, for example, if only we can devour demolished units, then Grendel would be a complete game changer for disruption missions. This Devourer build is best used in hard mode survival, wherein you can completely devour almost all enemies. The only thing it can't devour is those big fat Kuva Guardians on the Kuva tile set. Other enemies are an easy snack for Grendel. So that's it. Now go and fill Grendel's belly with some tasty Grineers. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.
This is the future. Human error. Evolution. This is the future.